Ladies and gentlemen, today I am not here to motivate you. I am here to shake you. I am here to wake up the part of you that has been trapped, suffocated, and held hostage by the deadliest enemy you have ever known, your own negative thinking. Some of you have already killed your dreams without ever trying. Some of you have buried your potential without ever seeing how far you could go. Some of you have been sentenced to a lifetime of mediocrity, not because of the world, not because of your family, not because of your circumstances, but because of the lies you keep telling yourself in your own mind. Let me ask you, who told you that you are not good enough? Who convinced you that you cannot succeed? Who made you believe that you are not worthy of greatness? The truth is, it wasn't them. It wasn't the critics. It wasn't your failures. It wasn't even your past. It was you. You believed the lie. You embraced the negativity. And now you are living the life your mind created. But here's the good news. If negative thinking built the prison, then positive thinking holds the key. Today, I am going to show you how to kill the negative thoughts that have been stealing your future. Because if you do not kill your negative thinking, it will kill you. Negative thinking is a disease. It spreads like cancer, contaminating your confidence, your decisions, and your vision. The moment you allow one negative thought to take root, it multiplies, suffocating every good thing in your life. You must cut it off at the source. What you think, you become. Your thoughts are not just thoughts. They are seeds. If you plant weeds, you will harvest a jungle of failure. If you plant greatness, you will harvest destiny. Your mind is the soil. What are you planting? Negative thinking is a habit, and so is positive thinking. You were not born doubting yourself. You were not born thinking you are a failure. You were trained to think that way, and if you can be trained in negativity, you can be retrained in confidence. Your words shape your future. Listen to yourself. If you constantly say, "I can't," "It's too hard," "It will never happen for me," then congratulations. You have become a prophet of your own destruction. Change your words and you will change your world. Fear is the grandchild of negative thinking. Fear is not real. It is created by the lies you tell yourself about your future. Fear is simply a false reality you have accepted as truth. If you kill negative thinking, you kill fear. Renew your mind, renew your life. The secret to changing your life is not in changing your environment, your job, or your friends. It is in changing your mind. When you transform the way you think, your entire life will follow. So today, make a decision. Either you kill your negative thinking or your negative thinking will kill you. Your mind is the key to your future. Use it wisely. Now ask yourself, what will you think about from this moment forward? Every battle you will ever fight in life begins in your mind. It is the birthplace of your victories and the graveyard of your defeats. Your mind is not just a storage unit for memories and knowledge. It is the command center that dictates the direction of your entire existence. Every major breakthrough, every life-altering decision, and every moment of hesitation starts with a thought. The most dangerous wars are not fought with weapons, they are fought with thoughts. The way you think determines how you see the world, how you approach challenges, and ultimately how you live your life. If your mind is filled with defeat, you will act defeated. If your thoughts are consumed with doubt, you will hesitate in moments of opportunity. If you constantly entertain fear, you will shrink away from the very things that were meant to grow you. The greatest tragedy in life is not a lack of opportunity, but a lack of belief. So many people lose battles they were supposed to win simply because their thoughts betrayed them before they ever took action. A person with the right mindset can turn obstacles into stepping stones, while someone with a negative mind will see every challenge as an impossible wall. This is why two people can face the same situation and come out with completely different results. One sees failure as the end, while the other sees it as a lesson. One sees a closed door as rejection, while the other sees it as redirection. The only difference between them is the way they think. Your thoughts will either empower you or imprison you. They will either push you toward your destiny or pull you away from it. Your mind is a battlefield, And the enemy is not outside of you. It is within. Every day you wake up to an invisible war between two forces fighting for control over your future. One voice tells you that you are not enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you will fail just like before. The other voice reminds you that you were created with purpose, that you are equipped for greatness, that everything you need is already inside of you. The battle is not about what is happening around you. It is about which voice you choose to believe. The thoughts you feed will determine the life you lead. If you constantly dwell on your past mistakes, you will remain stuck in them. If you focus on what you lack, you will never recognize what you have. If you magnify your problems, they will always seem bigger than your potential. Your greatest enemy is not your circumstances, your critics, or even your failures. It is the thoughts you allow to live in your mind. A person can be surrounded by opportunities, but if their mind is filled with limitations, they will never take advantage of them. On the other hand, someone who trains their mind for victory will find a way to win even in the worst conditions. History has proven this over and over again. Some of the most successful people in the world came from nothing, faced unbearable adversity, and still rose to greatness. It wasn't their money, their connections, or even their education that made the difference. It was their mindset. They refused to surrender to negative thinking. They rejected the idea that they were victims of their circumstances. They made a conscious decision to fight for their destiny by first winning the battle in their mind. The most dangerous thing about negative thinking is that it feels normal. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as realism. It tells you that you are just being practical when in reality, you are being held hostage by fear. It convinces you that playing small is the right thing to do when in reality, it is robbing you of the life you were meant to live. The battle in your mind is constant, and the only way to win is to take control of your thoughts. You must be intentional about what you allow to enter your mind. You must guard it like the most valuable treasure you own because, in many ways, it is. What you allow to grow in your mind will eventually show up in your life. If you plant seeds of doubt, you will harvest insecurity. If you plant seeds of negativity, you will harvest failure. But if you plant seeds of faith, confidence, and vision, you will reap a life of purpose, fulfillment, and success. The mind is a battlefield, but the good news is, you are not powerless in this war. You have the ability to choose which thoughts will dominate your mind. You have the authority to reject anything that does not align with the future you desire. Every time a negative thought enters your mind, you can either entertain it or replace it. You can either let it control you, or you can take control of it. Winning this battle is not a one-time event. It is a daily decision. It is a commitment to guarding your thoughts, challenging your doubts, and feeding your mind with what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. Because at the end of the day, the thoughts you allow to live in your mind will determine the life you are destined to live. Everything in your life right now, the way you live, the opportunities you see, the limits you feel, is a direct result of the thoughts you have accepted as truth. Your reality is not simply a product of your circumstances. It is a reflection of your mindset. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act creates the results you experience. This is why two people can be placed in the exact same situation and yet come out with completely different outcomes. One person rises while the other remains stuck. One sees possibilities while the other only sees obstacles. The only difference between them is not their background, their resources, or even their intelligence. It is their thinking. Your mind is like a projector, and your life is the screen. Whatever you focus on internally will eventually be displayed externally. If your mind is filled with thoughts of lack, insecurity, and failure, your life will mirror those beliefs. You will unconsciously sabotage opportunities because your mind has already decided that they are not meant for you. You will shrink away from challenges because you have already convinced yourself that you are not capable. On the other hand, when your mind is filled with confidence, vision, and expectation, your actions will align with those beliefs. You will take risks that lead to success. You will see solutions instead of problems. And you will attract the right opportunities simply because you believe they belong to you. Every great achievement in history began as a thought. Every invention, every breakthrough, every moment of progress started in someone's mind before it became a reality. The people who have changed the world were not always the most talented, the most connected, or the most privileged. They were simply people who refused to allow their minds to be ruled by limitations. They trained their thoughts to align with their vision instead of their fears. They understood that reality is shaped from the inside out, not the outside in. The problem is that most people allow their external circumstances to dictate their internal thoughts. They look at their failures and decide they are not good enough. They listen to their critics and accept the lie that they will never succeed. They focus on what they do not have, instead of recognizing the potential within them. But this is backwards. If you want to change your reality, you must first change your thoughts. You must reprogram your mind to see opportunities instead of obstacles, to focus on what is possible instead of what is difficult. You must train yourself to think like a winner even when you feel like a failure. Your thoughts act as magnets, attracting either success or struggle. A person who constantly thinks about their weaknesses will never develop their strengths. A person who constantly fears failure will never step into their full potential. But a person who chooses to focus on growth, possibility, and progress will naturally move in the direction of success. This is not wishful thinking. It is a fundamental truth of life. You cannot expect to live a life of confidence while feeding your mind with doubt. You cannot expect to succeed while constantly thinking about failure. Your reality will always reflect the dominant thoughts in your mind. Most people spend years trying to change their lives without ever addressing their thoughts. They change jobs, change relationships, change locations, but nothing truly shifts because their mindset remains the same. They carry the same doubts, the same fears, and the same limiting beliefs wherever they go. The real transformation does not happen when your circumstances change. It happens when your thinking changes. The moment you decide to align your thoughts with the future you want, your actions will follow and your life will begin to change in ways you never imagined. The greatest gift you have been given is the ability to control your thoughts. You are not a victim of your mind. You are the master of it. You have the power to reject thoughts that weaken you and replace them with thoughts that strengthen you. You have the ability to reshape your reality by choosing what you focus on, what you believe, and what you allow to take root in your mind. Because at the end of the day, your thoughts will either build your future or destroy it. The choice is yours. Negative thinking is more dangerous than you realize. It does not announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, like a virus, slowly poisoning your confidence, your decisions, and your future. It disguises itself as logic, realism, or caution, but its ultimate goal is destruction. It kills dreams before they ever begin, crushes potential before it is realized, and suffocates possibilities before they are even explored. The reason so many people never achieve what they were meant to is not because of external limitations. It is because of the invisible enemy living in their own mind. The most terrifying thing about negative thinking is that it feels normal. It becomes a habit, a default response to life. You don't even question it because it has become part of your identity. You assume that the doubts in your mind are facts rather than lies. You assume that fear is a sign to stop rather than a test to push forward. You assume that failure is proof of your inability rather than a lesson to prepare you for success. But the truth is, negative thinking has only one purpose: to keep you small, afraid, and stuck. It begins with a single thought, one whisper of doubt. What if I fail? One moment of hesitation. Maybe I'm not good enough. One seed of fear. What will they think of me? Left unchecked, these thoughts grow into an entire mindset that controls your life. Suddenly you stop trying, stop reaching, stop believing. You convince yourself that some things are just not meant for you. You watch others succeed and think, that's for them, not me. You sabotage opportunities because deep down, you do not believe you deserve them. Negative thinking does not just keep you from success, it makes you afraid to even attempt it. You see, negative thinking does not attack you directly. It works in the background, shaping your decisions without you realizing it. It turns hesitation into inaction, fear into excuses, and failure into identity. It does not need to destroy you in one moment. It only needs to make you delay long enough for your dreams to fade away. It does not need to push you down. It only needs to stop you from rising. And once negative thinking has you trapped in its cycle, it becomes your greatest enemy, one that lives inside your own mind. Your fear is not proof that you should stop. It is proof that you are standing at the edge of growth. The next level of your life will always be on the other side of something that scares you. And if you allow negative thinking to feed your fears, you will never step into the future you were meant for. Fear is the offspring of negative thoughts, but faith is the offspring of truth. The question is, which one will you allow to grow? The words you speak are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every word that leaves your mouth has the power to create or destroy, to build up or tear down, to move you forward or hold you back. The words you say about look around at the people who never pursued their calling, never started that business, never wrote that book, never took that leap of faith. It wasn't lack of talent, lack of intelligence, or lack of opportunity that stopped them. It was their thoughts. They talked themselves out of their destiny. They believed the lies their fears told them. They allowed their minds to become prisons, locking them in a life far smaller than the one they were created for. And the worst part? Many of them will never realize that the enemy was never the world, never the circumstances. It was their own mindset all along. But here is the truth. Just as negative thinking can kill your dreams, positive thinking can resurrect them. Just as fear can stop you, courage can push you forward. Just as doubt can paralyze you, faith can empower you. The same mind that works against you can be trained to work for you. You have the power to break free from the prison of negative thinking. But you must first recognize it for what it is. A silent killer that must be eliminated before it eliminates your potential. If you do not take control of your thoughts, they will take control of you. And if you allow negative thinking to remain, it will kill the future you were meant to have. Fear is not an external force. It is the product of your own mind. It is the child of negative thinking, born from the lies you tell yourself about what is possible. Fear does not begin as a reality. It begins as a thought. Before you ever feel afraid, you first imagine failure. Before you ever hesitate, you first entertain doubt. Before you ever give up, you first convince yourself that success is out of reach. Fear is nothing more than negative thinking given power. It is a false reality that you have chosen to believe, a shadow that looks larger than it is because of the light you shine on it. Most people live their lives ruled by fears that were never real to begin with. They are afraid to start a business because they might fail. They are afraid to step into leadership because people might not respect them. They are afraid to pursue their dreams because they might not be good enough. Notice something. None of these fears are based on actual facts. They are based on assumptions. And assumptions are simply thoughts that have been repeated so often that they feel like reality. But just because you think something does not make it true. Just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it deserves your attention. Fear is not the result of circumstances. It is the result of interpretation. Two people can face the same situation. One is paralyzed by fear, while the other rises with courage. The difference is not in the situation, but in how they think about it. One sees risk and backs away. The other sees opportunity and moves forward. One imagines failure and freezes. The other imagines success and takes action. Fear has no power on its own. It only has the power that you give it through your thoughts. The most dangerous thing about fear is that it grows. The more you entertain it, the stronger it becomes. The more you hesitate, the more your mind finds reasons to avoid action. The more you retreat, the more difficult it becomes to step forward. Fear is a thief, and its greatest weapon is deception. It convinces you that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that something bad is always around the corner. But what if fear is lying? What if the thing you are avoiding is the very thing that will set you free? What if the breakthrough you have been waiting for is on the other side of the fear you refuse to face? Every person who has ever done something great had to confront fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish. But the difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is simple. Successful people feel fear but refuse to be controlled by it. They understand that fear is nothing more than negative thinking disguised as reality. They recognize that the only way to destroy fear is to confront it. And every time they push through fear, they weaken its hold on their mind. It yourself, your future, and your abilities are shaping your reality every single day. Your words are the direct expression of your thoughts, and whatever you continuously speak, you will eventually believe. The problem is, most people do not realize that their own mouths are their greatest enemy. They speak failure before they even try. They confess weakness before they even attempt, and they declare limitations before they even test their potential. Your words are the confirmation of your inner belief system. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, your words will reflect doubt. If your mind is dominated by fear, your words will be saturated with fear. Every time you say, "I can't do this," you reinforce the belief that you are incapable. Every time you say, "This is too hard," you give power to the struggle instead of the solution. Every time you say, "I'll probably fail," you are predicting your own defeat. Words are not harmless. They are creative forces that shape your mindset and ultimately your future. History has shown that those who achieve greatness first spoke it into existence. They declared their vision before others could see it. They spoke life over their challenges instead of surrendering to them. They did not allow their mouths to betray their destiny. Look at the greatest leaders, inventors, and game changers. Before they ever built something with their hands, they built it with their words. They spoke of possibilities when others only saw limitations. They declared success when others only predicted failure. They understood that their words had the power to either fuel their purpose or kill it before it even began. But the tragedy is that most people do the opposite. They constantly speak words that reinforce their struggles. They complain about what they lack instead of declaring what they will achieve. They magnify their problems instead of speaking solutions. They speak defeat so often that it becomes their reality. What they fail to realize is that their words are simply an echo of their thoughts, and every time they speak negativity, they are giving those thoughts deeper roots. Negative thinking alone is dangerous, but when it is combined with negative speech, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your words are not just affecting you, they are affecting everything around you. The atmosphere of your home, your relationships, and your work environment are all influenced by the words you choose to speak. If you constantly criticize yourself, you will never have confidence. If you constantly complain, you will never see progress. If you constantly focus on your failures, you will never recognize your victories. The power of life and death is in the tongue, and too many people are speaking death over their own future without even realizing it. You must learn to discipline your words just as you discipline your thoughts. Speak in alignment with where you want to go, not where you currently are. Declare your potential even before you fully see it. Speak solutions instead of problems. Replace words of fear with words of faith. Instead of saying, "I can't," start saying, "I will find a way." Instead of saying, "I always fail," start saying, "I am learning and growing." Instead of saying, "This is impossible," start saying, "With the right mindset, I will overcome this." The words you speak today are shaping the life you will live tomorrow. If you want to kill negative thinking, you must first kill negative speaking. Your mind is not a fixed structure. It is moldable, shapeable, and rewritable. Every belief you hold, every thought that runs through your mind, was planted there at some point. Some thoughts were given to you by your environment, others by your experiences, and many by people who had no right to define your potential. But here is the truth. Just as negative thoughts were planted in your mind, they can also be removed. You are not a prisoner to your past thinking. You have the power to uproot every thought that does not serve you and replace it with something greater. The problem is that most people do not take responsibility for their minds. They assume that the way they think is just who they are, rather than realizing it is simply the result of years of conditioning. They say, "I'm just a negative person," as if negativity is a permanent identity rather than a habit that can be broken. They say, "This is just how I see things," without realizing that their perspective is not truth. It is a lens that can be changed. But until you take ownership of your mind, You will remain at the mercy of thoughts that do not belong to you. You have been given the authority to decide what thoughts are allowed to remain in your mind. You can challenge them, question them, and evict them if they do not align with the life you want to create. If a thought tells you that you are not good enough, you have the power to reject it. If a thought tells you that success is for others but not for you, you have the power to uproot it. If a thought tells you that your past failures define your future, you have the power to replace it with a new truth. Your mind is not in control of you. You are in control of your mind. The process of rewriting your mindset begins with awareness. You must become conscious of the thoughts that dominate your inner world. Pay attention to the patterns. Do you wake up expecting problems? Do you assume the worst in situations? Do you immediately think of reasons why something won't work instead of why it will? These patterns are not random. They are the result of years of unchecked thoughts. But the good news is, the moment you become aware of them, you gain the power to change them. Next, you must become intentional about feeding your mind with the right thoughts. You cannot break free from negativity while still consuming negativity. If you fill your mind with fear-driven news, toxic conversations, and self-defeating language, you will continue to live in a cycle of doubt and limitation. But if you surround yourself with voices of empowerment, wisdom, and faith, your mind will begin to shift. Read books that expand your thinking. Listen to messages that inspire you. Spend time with people who challenge you to see bigger. What you feed your mind today will determine the reality you live tomorrow. Finally, you must practice replacing negative thoughts with empowering ones. This is not a one-time event. It is a daily discipline. When a thought of fear arises, replace it with a thought of courage. When a thought of doubt enters, counter it with a declaration of faith. When a thought of failure whispers in your mind, remind yourself of past victories. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Over time, negativity will no longer be your default. Positivity, confidence, and vision will take its place. You do not have to accept the thoughts that were given to you by life, by culture, or by fear. You have the power to rewrite your mindset and create a new reality. The only question is, will you take control, or will you allow negative thinking to control you? Your mind is the battlefield where success or failure is decided long before you take action. Every limitation, every fear, every moment of hesitation begins in your thoughts. If you allow negative thinking to dominate, your life will always reflect struggle, doubt, and mediocrity. But if you make the decision today to take control of your mind, to uproot the lies that have held you back, and to feed your thoughts, with faith, courage, and vision, your entire life will change. Your reality is not set in stone. It is shaped by the way you think, speak, and act. Your words give life to your thoughts. Your thoughts create your beliefs, and your beliefs determine your destiny. The power to change your life has always been in your hands. The only thing standing between you and the future you were created for is the voice of negativity that you have been listening to for too long. It is time to silence that voice. It is time to reject the fear, doubt, and self-sabotage that have kept you small. It is time to kill your negative thinking before it kills your potential. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more allowing old thoughts to dictate a new future. The life you want, the success you desire, and the purpose you were created for are all waiting on the other side of your mindset shift. Take control of your thoughts, rewrite the narrative of your life, and step into the greatness that has always been within you. Because the truth is, the only thing powerful enough to stop you is you.